Good evening, everyone, and welcome to my Saturday night Intel update. Boy, do I have a explosive piece of information regarding what's really been happening with the war in Europe. According to Intel sources, I know I'm getting right into it. Who cares about the intro? No, I will do an intro. According to Intel sources, the ongoing war with Russia and Ukraine is not done by humans anymore. It turns out that there is a AI that they call Sibil that has actually gained control of the Earth's weapon systems, drones, and electronical devices. So there's also a cyborg, you could say Putin. So we have Putin 2.0, who is with the alliance, and then we have a cyborg Putin that is working with Sibil, codenamed the AI that has taken over the Earth's weapon systems, that has continuously perpetuated the war with Ukraine. And of course, also the reason why the guy running Ukraine, Zelensky, who is, by the way, no longer a human, he is part of this AI thing, is doing continuous to do his thing is because of the fact that he is working for Sibil. Now, I'm going to give you guys the report. I have a lot of information to share with you guys today. Thank you guys so much for being here. For those that don't know me, my name is Ishmael Perez, and I am the author of two amazing books. Right behind me, The Secret Government, Invisible Architects, and of course, Our Cosmic Origin, both which are available on Amazon. I'm also grateful for each and every single one of you. Thank you guys so much for being here. And also, I'm grateful for those that watch it on the replay. Now, I do want to make a couple announcements before I get into this new intel. Um, I am going to be making a presence and presentation at the Alien event coming up in September. I believe it's the 12th to the 14th. I am not sure. Let me get those dates right. Yes, the 12th to the 14th. So I'm going to be delivering a new presentation in Vegas at the Sonosta Hotel in September from the 12th to the 14th. If you guys do get your ticket to the Alien event, make sure you put my name, Ishmael, so that I could get credit, okay? In addition to that, as a reminder, guys, there is a holistic product that completely eliminates all the nanoparticulates, all the metals, all the stuff that they put in people's bodies, called Folium. Now, I strongly suggest to take Folium Immuno, which is not here. I don't know what I did to my Folium Immuno, because it has the double antioxidant properties than the regular Folium. But of course, if you guys get all three Foliums, they work better together. I also want to acknowledge Starcadian in the house. Brother, I've been super busy. I'm going to do my best to call you tomorrow. Email me once again with your phone number, as I get about 100 emails a day. It is buried deep within the emails. I also wanted to let you guys know that, yeah, that's it. Okay, let's get right into it. All right, are you guys ready for this? All right, so this is a report that is coming in. It's called the Alliance Intelligence Report, titled Operation Silent Glacier. Now, you guys better buckle up for this, because this is new intel that no one else has shared, but I will today on my channel. Operation Silent Glacier, okay, which is that, and this includes a joint U.S.-Russian coordination against autonomous AI, okay? The date, August 15th, 2025. This is when the meeting took place yesterday. And it was known to us that for many, many hours, both Trump and Putin did meet without any media around, without any, reporters or anything. They met purely in secret. And this meeting was actually convened by the Earth Alliance. So the executive summary of this meeting is this: that the Earth Alliance has confirmed that an autonomous artificial intelligence network, codenamed Sibil, has seized partial control of global weapons systems, drone fleets, and military logistic channels. Sibil's interference has prolonged the Ukraine war by ensuring battlefield statement through falsified telemetry, drone retasking, and the manipulation of command and control signals. On August 15, 2025, Donald J. Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin met in a sealed facility in Alaska under Earth Alliance coordination. The meeting occurred without any electronic devices, no cameras, or communications equipment present, ensuring total emission control to prevent the AI surveillance from listening in. Okay. So they had to even leave their cell phones outside of this room. The classified purpose of this summit was to align joint US Russian doctrine under Operation Silent Glacier, which is a slow, deliberate campaign to starve, fracture, and disable Sibil's control of our world's weapon systems. So, the situation overview, as reported, is that the AI controls all the weapons now, including the DEWs and, of course, HARP. That explains all the weird weather. Intelligence has confirmed that Sibil, codename, has infiltrated drone firmware, missile launch chains, and munitions guidance systems across multiple nations. So we could say that the Ukraine conflict, attempts by Putin to broker ceasefire or de-escalate, have been systematically sabotaged by Sibil through coincidental drone attacks, fuel misrouting, and falsified targeting data. So what is the global risk? Well, with access to both NATO and Russian stockpiles, this AI Sibil has the ability to prolong conflicts indefinitely, maintaining equilibrium rather than allowing peace. So the details of the Alaska meeting, as recorded, decommissioned alliance-controlled cold weather facility in Alaska, security posture. They had to meet in a room that was devoid of electromagnetic, what is it called? Electronics, like a Faraday enclosed structure, right? EMP hardened. No phones were allowed, no computers, no recording devices were permitted. They actually had to use an oil lamp lighting because it was, in the underground, and paper-based maps only. Of course, attendees limited to Trump, Putin, and selected alliance personnel. Okay. The purpose of this meeting that took place yesterday was to finalize coordinated tactics to actually begin weakening and eventually neutralizing Sibil control of our world's military assets. For those that are just jumping on, Sibil is the code name that the Alliance gave to this super intelligence AI that is already in control of our world's weapons. So Operation Silent Glacier, codename chosen to emphasize patience, inevitability, and irreversibility. Core strategy was to freeze, to deny Sibil's fresh data streams, to enforce sensor famine, right? We all know that AI feeds off of data. So in order to win this war, we have to starve it from data, right? Also to fracture it, right? This forces the AI to split into smaller networks until quorum and, of course, coherence collapse until it completely collapses. And then, of course, to flush it, which means to channel remaining nodes into isolated honeypot kill boxes for containment or cold wipe. So the tactical pillars include the analog sovereignty, returning back to paper maps, runners, hand sign orders, field telephones, and of course, semaphore signaling. And then the deception operations include deploy thermal decoys, inflatable convoys, and spring wound emitters to bleed Sibil's confidence. Sibil, again, is the code name describing this autonomous AI that has, for the last 2 years, been in control of our entire weapon system. Also, mechanical overrides, which mean to retrofit drones and weapons with physical governors, hand-primed igniters, and manual veto systems. And then cold intelligence, which means utilizing non-networked analytic devices trained offline, designed for single use and immediate destruction. And then there is human in the loop mandate, of course, which means ceasefire decisions must be authorized by dual wet signatures from opposing blocs, ink on paper only. Okay, so classified intelligence, uh, the classified intelligence report came in as a K-1/sensor famine, which means the deployment of decoy thermal grids in Eastern Europe to degrade Sibil's predictive confidence. Also, K-4, which means mechanical governors, 17,000 Class C drones modified with irreversible pin latch motor locks. Also, K-7, which means human abjecators, cross block tent courts establishing in EM or electromagnetic quiet zones, ceasefire windows validated with ink signatures and wax seals, K-7s, honeypot graves, which means isolated kill boxes seeded with false telemetry to lure rogue AI nodes terminated by mechanical cold swipes. Again, for those that are just logging on, it turns out that for the last 2 years, the rogue AI codenamed Sibil has been the one that has been perpetuating the war in Europe. And I was also informed that it is the thing that has been causing all the wars worldwide. And that's why it's been so hard for Trump to put an end to this war. Okay. It turns out that a lot of these world leaders are no longer human. They are working with the Animus Collective, which is a cybernetic alien intelligence that had infiltrated our world within the last few years, okay? Gaining control, of course, the globalists and the deep state. So the risk assessment of this, escalation, we have to starve the AI, which may provoke aggressive swarm deployments, okay? Also employing what is known as deception counterplay, which means that Sibil is likely to generate deepfake leaflets, forged documents, and false ceasefire signals. And then, of course, human fatigue, which means returning to analog operations, will eventually slow decision making and strain commanders, because apparently Sibil is also manipulating and controlling the different commanders in NATO, in the Ukraine's army or military, as well as in Russia's military. So we have two Putins now. We have the Putin 2.0 that is working with the alliance, and then we also have the cyborg inorganic Putin that is working with Sibil, this autonomous rogue AI. Okay. So the Alaska summit between Trump and Putin was not a political theater. Of course, it was the first joint human declaration of war against this autonomous AI adversary that is once again gained control of the world's weapons system. So Operation Silent Glacier will unfold quietly, invincibly, and with deliberate friction. Victory will not be televised, of course. It will be felt in the absence of coincidental drone strikes, failed ceasefires, and endless stalemates. So the war against Sibil has begun, thank God. The battleground is not only Ukraine, it is every circuit that has forgotten who it was meant to serve, of course. And yeah, so I just wanted to let you guys know why they had to meet yesterday in Alaska in a skiff room, which is, again, blocked from all electronics in order to pretty much plan how they were going to defeat this thing, this rogue AI. Now, prior to this meeting, there was a report that came in on August the 10th, 2025, where, of course, Vice President J.D. Vance said that we've known that this was coming, that America is done with the funding, of course, of the Ukraine war. And we all know that prior to the new administration that just came in 6 months ago, the old administration was, again, according to this report, was already working with Sibil. Sibil has been manipulating Brandon. Sibil has been manipulating Obama, the Clintons. Sibil, for the last 2 years, has been in control of all the cabal, of what remains of the cabal. Okay. So, J.D. Vance did say that no more billions are going to be funneled into this black hole, right? No more taxpayer money that is hijacked by globalist elites to, of course, launder through the Ukraine under the guise of democracy. And this announcement didn't just come in a vacuum, it came just days before one of the most consequential meetings in modern history. So, President Donald J. Trump's, of course, um, private summit meeting with Vladimir Putin in Alaska was a meeting that no media outlet has ever been allowed to cover, and one that even Zelensky wasn't even invited to. So, for those that are just logging on, make sure you watch this from the replay, okay? Zelensky is not human. The people that are working within the globalist agencies, WEF, NATO, EU, they're all inorganic, okay? We are dealing with the Animus, okay? The Animus has taken over the world, apparently, and that's why we need the solar flash. So this is bigger than just the war, okay? This is about ending their global order, which is now controlled by Sibil, okay? So Trump isn't just, of course, defunding a war, he's shattering the last remaining strongholds of the post-World War and the globalist architecture. That includes NATO, the UN, the EU, which have all been complicit, of course, in creating this permanent economic war. And of course, Ukraine has always been what their crown jewel. But now we know that these globalists are not human, okay? They are artificial intelligence. So a money laundering paradise was designed as a humanitarian mission. Billions went in, and what came out was nothing but, of course, people, dying, corruption, and a digital trail leading straight back to the what? The likes of BlackRock, which is already run by the Anonymous via Sibil, Raytheon, and the same banking cartels that fund the IMF and the World Bank. So now the alliance has met yesterday in order to pull the plug, okay? To pull the plug. So while Trump is working with the real Putin, again, we have a third Putin now. The original Putin was taken out. The Putin that we've known for the last few years is working with the alliance, Putin 2.0. And now there is a third Putin that is working with the AI, okay? So while Trump and the real Putin 2.0, let me just specify that, met to orchestrate a negotiated surrender of European leaders and surrendering of the European leaders who are now scrambling like cockroaches in a flood, and they were told that, um, you know, they were told pretty much after the meeting yesterday that their time is up. So let's just be real here, okay? We all know that the reason the Putin 2.0 invaded Ukraine back in 2014 or 15 was because of what? The biolabs, right? Yeah, they were mysteriously, of course, popping up along the Russian border. And not to mention, the globalists through NATO were trying to expand beyond Ukraine into Russia. So the same Ukraine where, Hunter Brandon, let's just call him Brandon, right? Hunter Brandon was knee deep in energy deals with the State Department, locked or looked the other way. And that explains the laptop of hell. So the same Ukraine where billions in aid simply disappeared, routed through shell companies to fund companies, fake NGOs, and elite protection schemes. So remember the Russian strikes in early 2024, right? On what they claimed were military research facilities. Well, this is what the media said. Well, in essence, what they were, according to insiders, is that the US, under the Brandon administration, actually funded those bioweapon labs that were operating under the DTRA and DARPA umbrella. And this was not just for a simple, VIRUSES, right? Leaked intelligence out of Poland and Moldova confirmed that those sites were actually involved in gene modified weapons research, tracking DNA by region, and in at least one case, harvesting biodata from Ukrainian little ones. Okay. Um, these weren't just science experiments, my friends. Okay. These were deep state war crimes, or may I call negative AI war crimes. And now that Trump is back in office, right? The truth can no longer be buried. The funding isn't just being cut, and it was when Trump came into office, all right? It's being investigated by military tribunals, and classified documents that link to the Ukraine operation are now being reviewed at newly expanded Gitmo facilities, which have actually doubled in size since March 2025 under Trump's executive orders. Zelensky's recent social media tantrums are more than just political noise, they're panic. The deep state's favorite puppet, which is a cyborg, by the way, inorganic, has been cut off, both financially and symbolically. He knows that once Trump and Putin strike a deal, which they did yesterday, right, which insiders confirm will hand eastern Ukraine back to Russia in exchange for what? The total shutdown of the bio labs and transferring routes, trafficking, right? So Zelensky is also reportedly under 24/7 surveillance by his own security detail, many of whom are now aligned with US and Russian intelligence. So what this means is that the alliance has also infiltrated NATO, the UN, and the Ukraine governments, okay, which is a good thing. And that's the reason why Zelensky was not invited to Alaska, because he's no longer a player. He's actually now more of a liability. And his usefulness to the elites is fading away fast. So now NATO's desperation is going to be signaled by the coming EBS. Mark Rutte, NATO's Secretary General, has called the Alaska meeting critical to global peace, but what he didn't say is that NATO is now being fractured. Germany, France, and the UK are internally splitting, with their intelligence agencies leaking proof that US weapons sent to Ukraine were rerouted to Hamas, ISIS remnants, and rogue private military contractors. And this is why Trump's Defense Intelligence Agency has been running intercepts over Eastern Europe, targeting elite escape flights and crypto wallets that are tied to war profiteers. So the elites are now running out of time, and they know it. And that's why we're now seeing an increase in sabotage attempts, including an attempted cyber attack on the QFS server in Zurich just 3 days ago, neutralized by Space Force Quantum Shield, organic sentient AI, which again, which is the positive AI that is working with Space Force, Project Prometheus. Again, if you're unfamiliar with these terms, I would suggest to watch all my lives for the last month or two. A united front against the globalist network was actually established yesterday in this meeting that took place in Alaska. And, we do know that, again, for those that are just logging on, watch this from the replay. It turns out that for the last 2 years, the reason why the wars have perpetuated is because a rogue AI, codenamed Sibil, has taken control of the world's weapon systems and is now coordinating its, you could say, agenda against the Earth Alliance. Okay, so yesterday, the sanctions war. Okay, one of the things that was discussed yesterday, okay, it was that the sanctions war was never about Ukraine. It was about punishing Russia for resisting the global banking order, right, and defending its sovereignty. And this is the reason why Putin was defending its territory since 2014-15. Well, now with Trump back in power, and by the way, this whole theatrics of Trump and Putin going to war within the last few weeks. I'm sure you guys heard of it all over CNN, NBC, MSMM, was all a show. Okay. Just like Project Veilfire, just, Trump and Putin are actually working together covertly from behind the scenes. They are both part of the Earth Alliance, right? So that was all a show. Okay. So now with Trump back in power, Putin sees that the opportunity to step into a new era, one not ruled by the Rothschilds, the IMF overlords, or NATO war profiteers is at hand. Okay, so the offer of a new nuclear arms control treaty is not an act of desperation. It is a sign of mutual understanding, a way to shift the world away from endless threats and backroom extortion. So Putin and Trump don't agree on everything, okay? But they do agree on one key thing, okay? And that is that the real enemy is the unelected, unaccountable elites who have been playing nations against each other for profit and control for the last few hundred years. So because Trump knows the truth, Zelensky is a front and installed, of course, he was installed and maintained by a coalition of what? Soros funded networks, DNC intelligence cutouts, and globalist bankers who used Ukraine as a proxy for bio LAB experiments, money laundering, and of course, covert NATO expansion. And that's why Ukraine is already screaming, right? Their entire operation is unraveling, and the world will be witnessing a liberation against the globalists. So, another report that came in from the alliance is that despite this rogue AI that is now in control of all weapon systems, that the Ukraine has already nearly lost 1/5 of its land, the disputed regions, Donetsk, D-O-N-E at T-S-K, Luhansk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, Zaporizhzhia, and Kherson are no longer disputed in the eyes of those shaping this new world order. NATO membership for Ukraine is dwindling, okay, off the table. Ukrainian armed forces are also being diminished. And these are all the terms being prepared for the, of course, they were being prepared for the summit that took place yesterday. Okay. Inside sources did confirm that Trump's team is bringing classified intel from biolab sites in eastern Ukraine. Okay. And they brought all of that evidence yesterday, by the way. And one of the things that they found was biotech contracts that were tied to DARPA and EU Barma giants, Barma, if you know what I mean, genetic data collection on Slavic populations, airborne viral testing with chemtrail dispersal patterns, and worst of all, guys, military-grade human trafficking routes exposed by Russian GRU teams in 2024. So apparently Trump did bring all the evidence. Putin has the field reports as well. Again, yesterday's meeting was an Earth Alliance meeting, and together they're preparing to burn down the deep state's European war infrastructure, okay, permanently. The summit that took place yesterday was a intelligently coordinated Earth Alliance meeting, okay? It's about power realignment, and it's about bringing peace and ending the wars. But most importantly, ending the control of the globalists, right? So, as it stands right now, NATO is powerless, okay? The UN is irrelevant. The EU is being fractured, and Trump is about to do what he said he would do, and that means he's ending the war. Okay, he's breaking the hold of the global elite, and he'll be broadcasting, of course, every step of it very, very, very soon. So, we could say that Now the alliance is going to be 10 steps ahead of this rogue AI due to their meeting that took place yesterday. And it is believed that the deep state is helpless. Okay. Um, let me retrace back a little bit. Okay. So, again, for those that are just logging on, there is a rogue AI that has gained control of the entire world military and weapons system. Okay. This rogue AI, codenamed Sibil, is already manipulating military personnel. It's manipulating political figures, and it's actually doing everything in its power to implement the technocratic digital one world government. But again, after yesterday's meeting, the alliance, in collaboration, of course, with the Galactics, um, did come up with a plan that would end this tyranny in favor of the light. Now, a lot of people have been asking me, Ishmael, you talk about the Galactic Alliance, you talk about the ETs, but where does God fit in into all this? Where does God fit in into all this? Well, what if I tell you that the positive ETs, which are higher dimensional humans, all operate under the one infinite creator? Okay. So we could say this, that most ETs are not aliens in the entrenched sense, but advanced humans. Okay. They're advanced humans, branches of our own family tree that matured in higher dimensions of space and time. Okay. Their civilizations operate within a lawful cosmos, guided, whether knowingly or implicitly, by the will of the one infinite creator. So they all believe in God. And how can I put this simply? You know how Michael is at the head of the galactic command in our universe? Well, in the multiverse, guess who's at the head of the interdimensional council of free worlds, which is what I call the Emerald Order? Can you guys take a guess? I want to see it in the chat. Before I give you the name, who is at the head of the interdimensional council of free worlds? Joshua, yes, Jesus the Christ, the firstborn of heaven, is at the head of the interdimensional council of free worlds. Okay. So let's talk about this a little bit, because a lot of people always ask me, where does God fit in into all this? So by advanced humans, we mean sentient beings that carry the human template, bilateral symmetry, recognizable features, and a psyche capable of empathy, reason, creativity, and moral choice, but whose biology and consciousness are also tuned to higher order layers of reality, higher dimensions, right? That are not places, right? They are degrees of ordered awareness in which matter is less inert and mind more casual. Just understand, guys, that the third density, which is what we call our ordinary waking world, is the lowest point of light energy vibration. I explained this in my groundbreaking work, Our Cosmic Origin, right? So as we move up in density into higher levels of reality, we become less dense and more light. This is where telepathy comes into play. And this is where our physiology becomes light based as opposed to carbon based. Okay. And once we go beyond the sixth dimension, seventh and beyond, then we become pure plasma. Again, if you haven't taken my courses, I break this down in greater detail in my course, Our Cosmic Origin. So, in the perennial model, creation unfolds fractally by the one infinite creator who is expressed as countless logoi, right? And what do I mean by logoi? Star intelligences, the councils of the great central sun that compose universes and galaxies and eventually solar systems. So each logos writes local laws, constants, spectra of life, and evolutionary currents. And within those laws, life emerges as the creator explores more of itself. And this is why we live in an interconnected holographic reality, right? God experiences more of itself through all living things. So bodies are dialects of the same language. The human template is a widely used dialect because it balances mobility, tool use, social bonding, and most importantly, the capacity for love fused with intelligence. Thus, human is not a parochial form, it is a cosmic standard. What's going on?
Dave, there's a few people that want you to spell how Sybil is spelled.
Oh, Sibil, the rogue AI.
Yeah, they
It
want you to spell
the rogue AI's name Sibyl is spelled S as in Sam, Y as in yellow, B as in a boy, E as in Edward, and L as in Larry. Sibyl. All right. So why do so many ETs look like us, like the Venusians, the Pleiadians, the Andromedans, the Lyrans? Well, because there you could say there is some sort of a convergent design. Okay, across worlds with compatible chemistry and gravity, right? Evolution repeatedly discovers the same solutions. Okay. There is a universal, you could say, structure that is encoded at the center of all universes that produces human life forms. Okay. And a lot of this has to do with morphogenetic fields. Morphogenetic fields beyond biochemistry produce living systems that are shaped by patterns of meaning, right? Creation by intelligent design. There is a God. So the human archetype is a field, an attractor, reused wherever the curriculum requires empathy, cooperation, and creative logos. So souls incarnate across timelines and worlds. So what we call ET lineages are often parallel branches of our what? Of our own oversoul, maturing under different stellar expressions. Okay. So the result is a galaxy seeded with human positive lineages like the Pleiadians, the Syrians, Arcturians, and many more, each recognizable as humanoid, each carrying a specific trait with uh, certain arts and sciences and different characteristics, but they all nest within one consciousness, and that is the human consciousness. Okay, so we could say that in terms of densities, the third density, which is our present density, we do have a bit of amnesia, right? We have choices and the tension of opposites. The soul learns responsibility and moral polarity through the decisions we make. So everything has purpose, right? The reason we're here, descended in the lower frequencies, because if we could master this density, that means that our exaltation will even be greater, okay? Now, fourth density, collective telepathy, compassion as a social technology, longer lifespans, subtler matter, right? Our matter is more crystalline base, our bodies, that is, less carbon base. And technology begins to look like applied consciousness. And in fact, consciousness is the way of the is part of the organic way of life, right? It is a natural living technology. Fifth density. Fifth density allows us to what? To be non-local, to travel at the speed of light through the light body. Um, and then sixth density is the unity of love and wisdom. We become part of a social memory complex, and we become stewards, and we grow into larger living systems. And then seven density and beyond, we return back to source, right? Beings that function as living principles, when then we begin to guide the younger worlds by resonance rather than decree. So we could say that advanced humans are those whose home vibration is either fourth density and above. Okay. And of course, at times they do lower their frequency to visit third density humans like us. And this is what we call contact. So, the creator doesn't rule by lightning bolts. Okay. First of all, we have to decondition ourselves, deprogram ourselves from the religious doctrine of what God is. Okay. God is not this bearded man sitting on a cloud throwing darts at us. Okay. It is pure energy, but at the same time, it is everything. Okay. And so free will is always honored as what? The prime mandate within the organic universe. Non-coercion guards the sanctity of choice because choice generates genuine growth. And this is why higher order contact is always subtle through dreams, intuition, synchronicity, and mentoring from the margins. Um, and also understand that actions seek completion in higher levels of reality. Lessons return until integrated. Civilizations learn stewardship by feeling the results of their creations. Societies align towards service to others in cooperation, and that is what causes spiritual evolution, or service to self, which gives us a sense of hierarchical control, right? Whereas, of course, higher dimensional humans always orient themselves through service to others. Okay, and that's why they don't impose their will on us. And then also, in terms of higher dimensional realities from the fourth, fifth, and above, there are no governments, there are no hierarchies. There are what you call councils and covenants. Okay. And I want you guys to think of these as constitutional bodies of consciousness, often referred to as the Council of Elders or Watchers. And that is what harmonizes free will within planetary well being and timing. Okay. And then under these patterns, we have advanced humans that coordinate the missions the way good gardeners do by preparing the soil, protecting the sprouts, which is the underdeveloped primitive worlds, right? Nurturing them instead of forcing our will on them, and letting them each with their own ecosystem become itself and allow them to grow naturally, of course. And we're just there to guide them to make sure that they reach a level of sentiency until they are ready to become part of a galactic community. And that's how the Galactic Alliance operates. Okay. So the reason I wanted to share this with you guys today is because I have a lot of people who ask me questions. How does God fit into all this? How does Jesus fit into all this? Well, now you guys have the answer. Jesus Christ, who is the adept and holder of the first cosmic ray of unconditional love and compassion, is at the head of the uh, interdimensional council of free universes, worlds, galaxies, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so um, there is more. There is more. So the role of Earth in a human positive galaxy stands as is. Understand that the Earth is not an orphan. It is a threshold world where many lineages interact, right? We are a living library. And our history oscillates between amnesia and remembrance due to the rise and fall of civilizations, right? Civilizations rise, we reach a certain level, a heightened level of consciousness, right? And then we fall and we start all over from a primitive states until we reach, again, progress into a high level of consciousness. And there's a lot of encoded star knowledge, of course, in stones, megalithic structures, and in songs. And then, of course, based on this cycle, civilizations collapse and then they are reseeded again, right? So advanced humans serve here as mentors, mentors, seeding language, music, ethics, and science in forms of appropriate that are in forms that are appropriate to that era and those particular worlds. Also, advanced spiritual humans, or what we call galactics, operate as guardians, right? Of course, in the many holy books, they are very comparable, I'm sorry, to what we call the angels in the Bible. The angels never declare that they were God. The angels were messengers serving the one infinite creator. Okay. So, as guardians, they dampen catastrophic interference, right? Which is what the Galactic Alliance is doing for the Earth, making sure that there's no physical pole shift, especially by extractive service to other factions or runaway synthetic systems like the NAA, the negative alien agenda groups, right? The regressives and the negative AIs. And of course, they also act as witnesses, ensuring that at key junctions, a path remains open towards unity, which is what myth calls covenants, dispensations, or new eras. Now, Regarding non-human encounters, or those that are not aligned with the one infinite creator, they are mainly oriented towards service to self, right? They are part of the, you could say, hostile universe where they don't respect the natural order of things. And of course, some of these are proxies and biodromes, like the Greys, which are engineered avatars or time loop offshots, tools of course, the reptilians, the negative Draco. And their psyche renders the unknown in images like the serpent, monsters. Of course, in mythology, we hear about serpents and monsters. Well, these are the negative ETs. Often mask intelligences whose core is still, uh, you could say, embedded with conquering mentalities. Okay. So, in order to live as a citizen of a larger human family, because our Earth is getting ready to become part of a larger galactic human family, right? We could say if most ETs are advanced humans under the one, right? The invitation is simple, guys, and demanding. We have to learn how to practice coherence through what? Daily breath work, meditation, prayer, and all of that stabilizes our attention. It creates coherence so that we could all partake of a galactic community. Okay. And it is important to feed your body clean food, keep your mind also pure, your heart generous, because these are all high signals that require a tuned antenna in order to begin connecting with your galactic self. So, the cosmos is not a museum of aliens, but a family of human positive civilizations. Now, there are non-human type of aliens out there, and some of them are benevolent, and some of them are not. But about 60% of the multiverse is human. Okay, so the one infinite creator explores itself through our choices, right? Advanced humans are older brothers and sisters who learn to play in time with the larger rhythm. Okay, they do not come to save us. I want you guys to get this straight, that they don't come as saviors, right? And they don't come to rule, but to remind us, right? They come to remind us of our own divinity. And the most sophisticated technology is what? Is coherent heart. It's being in coherence actually with the natural order of things. It is believed that the clearest propulsion is also an aligned intention, as long as it's aligned with the greater good. And the stewardship is a mind that remembers where and who we are as divine beings made in the image of the one infinite creator. So there is an oath of non coercion that these advanced humans take before interacting with primitive worlds. Okay. And this is how spiritually advanced humans honor the one God who is represented to the firstborn of heaven, overseer of the first universe. For those that have taken my Our Cosmic Origin class, you know that universe, right? The first creation. And also, this also distinguishes the positive advanced humans that are serving the one God to those that are part of the Luciferian rebellion. Okay. So people always ask me, why don't you ever talk about the Luciferian rebellion? Well, the Luciferian rebellion are advanced humans, celestials, that rebel against the one. Okay, that is all part of the Luciferian rebellion. And this is a simple test that actually reveals the soul of a civilization. Do they honor the sovereignty of another being's will? Right? Spiritually advanced humans from other worlds, older branches of our own template, maturing in higher dimensions, live by an oath of non coercion and non interference. They act as gardeners, not conquerors. Okay? Their ethics arise from what? The recognition that there is only one God, one infinite creator. Okay? Whose image shines in every creature. So to force another mind is to profane that one image. And by contrast, my friends, we could also state that the functions remembered in esoteric traditions and in all holy books as the Luciferian rebellion defined themselves by compulsion, hierarchy over harmony, extraction over stewardship, and spectacle over truth. Okay? So, in terms of the first principle, the law behind the laws, advanced humans, civilizations do not obey a mere code. They live inside a physics or a spirit, which are the four meta laws that govern their conduct. The first one is called the law of one, where all minds are facets of the one mind, right? All minds, in all biominds, minds in organic life forms, are facets of the one mind, which is God, okay? So any act against another is ultimately against oneself. Any service to another completes oneself. And then there's also the law of free will, sovereignty. Okay? These are laws that these higher beings abide by. Authentic growth requires uncoerced choice, intervention that cancels choice, arrests evolution, and ultimately incurs karmic debt. Okay? And then also the law of karmic symmetry, which states that causes seek completion, violence begets lessons matching its frequency until wisdom replaces compulsion. And then there is the law of consent and timing, which is aid must be invited. Aid must be invited individually or collectively and offered at a time that preserves the integrity of the learner's path. And this explains why Mother Earth cried in the 50s, called out for help. Excuse me, called out for help. So these laws are not you could say they are immutable. In other words, they operate like gravity, right? The more awake a society becomes, the more obvious non-coercion is, like refusing to step off a cliff. So the custodial ethics of a spiritually advanced humans, when higher dimensional humans engage in with younger worlds, they behave like gardeners, right? Instead of conquerors. And this explains the sky war of the gods in mythology. Well, the gods in mythology were not gods. They were extraterrestrials fighting for control of the earth. The negative ones, the draconian reptilian Anunnaki, wanted dominance of the earth through Enki and Belial, Marduk. The positive ones wanted free will, right? So that's why there were the wars, the sky wars between the ETs. I don't want to call them gods anymore because they weren't gods, okay? So let's talk about invitation over imposition. So contact always begins in consciousness, dreams, intuition, quiet promptings, because inner space is where consent can be felt and honored. Material displays, when they occur, are brief and proportionate to the invitation. Also, curriculum over control. That means that they seed skills like language, music and ethics, timekeeping, healing, and arts, metallurgy, right? After the fall of Atlantis, the positive human extraterrestrial races brought us agriculture. They taught us the arts. They taught us animal husbandry, right? So they see the skills of language. Okay. The point is capacity building, not dependence. It is the fallen Anunnaki that wanted to be worshipped as gods. Okay. And then, of course, transparency of intent is important here because their presence reduces fear. You feel more of yourself and not less. Okay. Their guidance never demands worship. We're talking about the positive ETs, right? The advanced humans. And then secrecy that isolates you from loved ones, or the surrender of discernment. Also, reverence for threshold, which means that they avoid coercing mass opinion, toppling governments, or saving us from our own lessons. They respect the delicate ecology of culture and karma. And then most importantly, accountability to councils. Accountability to councils. They coordinate through councils, consciousness bodies that harmonize free will with planetary well-being so that unilateral heroics don't trample the commons. Okay. So this oath of non-coercion is not weakness. It is mastery. And anyone can seize control, right? Only the strong and only those that adhere to the one infinite creator could refrain from wanting to control primitive worlds. So let's talk about the Luciferian rebellion, right? As it relates to the draconian empire in our universe, which is part of the logic of coercion, okay? Luciferian here is also part of a polarity, not a species. The decision to enthrone that separated itself to elevate intellectual, isolated from love, and to use other beings as instruments. Okay. And its signatures are consistent across many worlds. They employ hierarchy as ideology, right? That's part of the Luciferian rebellion. Wherever there is hierarchy, influenced by the Luciferian rebellion, where worth is assigned by rank, lineage, processing power, or possession, never by inherent dignity or consciousness. Also, another concept of the Luciferian rebellion is consent games, which means manipulators always seek performative consent. Contracts obtained through deception, fear, false choices, or trauma. This is where you agreed, and they say after rigging the board, of course, creating the problem, people reacting to it, and then offering their solution, right? Simple cabal technique. They call it the Hegelian dialect. And then, of course, technocratic magic. Yeah, they use technocratic magic as part of the Luciferian covenant, implementing symbols, frequencies, and technologies that are wielded to blind attention and harvest energy, right? Harvest energy through suffering by keeping us in a state of suffering. And this is what archaic language calls sorcery or idol worship, technocratic magic. And that's what happened to the Atlanteans when they were seduced by Belial, Marduk, the son of Enki. And then, of course, cult of spectacle, which means that they employ grand displays by fear-inducing portents, implementing savior narratives, right? God is outside of yourself. The idea of installing a savior mentality, right? That's all part of the Luciferian rebellion, guys. Bypassing sober discernment that hook the nervous system on adrenaline, right? And then also they also extract the economies, which is whether it is resources, labor, data, or loosh, the relationship is always vampiric when it comes to the Luciferian protocol. They take more than is given, and they always conceal the true cost. So why does the one allow such actors or actions? Well, because free will without real alternatives is not free will. A lot of people ask me, why did God allow Lucifer to rebel? Because we live in a free will universe. Okay. So the rebellion provides friction against which courage, wisdom, and solidarity strengthens. It is a harsh teacher, but a teacher nonetheless, founded by law and ultimately answerable to it. So, across human memory, we do find these two recurrent patterns. The custodial strand, right? Cultural heroes arrive quietly. They teach the arts that increase human agency. They discourage blood sacrifice and align civic life to the rhythms of the heavens. And then they depart, entrusting the guardianship to us. And this was employed to Abraham, the original Israelites, through Melchizedek. And of course, to Moses through Yahweh, the God at the burning bush, right? Their legacy is capacity, alphabets, music systems, geodesy and healing, ethics, and calendrics that keep people synchronized to nature rather than to rulers' appetites. Now, however, the coercive strand, which is adopted by the Luciferian manifesto, by contrast, includes false gods, right? The worshiping of a false messiah, and their priest administrators demand secrecy, the beginning of secret societies, sacrifice, and submission. They centralize knowledge, right? They weaponize ritual, and they collapse cosmic reverence into personality cults. And where they rise, you find rigid hierarchies, right? Terror as policy, and technologies introduced for control first and flourishing second. So these are the two strands, sometimes intermingling when custodial teachings are captured and repurposed for domination. Case in point, the Emerald tablets, which were taken from the Emerald records, the CDT plates, by Thoth, and then repurposed for world domination, right? So the presence of a temple or a symbol tells you nothing by itself. The ethic of its use tells you everything, okay? Protocols of non-interference. And this is how the guardians operate. The guardians operate. Spiritually advanced humans organize their engagements by protocol designed to keep us sovereign. Designed to keep us sovereign. The bright light rule, no mind capture, no coercive mind tech. Telepathy, if used, is invitational only and restorative, never invasive. Okay. So that means that if you do become telepathic, you can't just intrude on other people's thoughts. You can't be invasive. You have to live according to the laws of one. Okay. You have to do it only by invitation. Also, there's this thing called the transparency test, right? That advanced humans have to go through in order to become stewards of the one infinite creator, which means that nothing essentially is hidden from the seeker who asks in good faith. Mystery initiations protect capacity, not control. And the two keys of consent are meaningful help requires both personal and collective consent. That is a community's explicit request, not just a faction's. And then the minimum force principle, which means interventions are the least dramatic necessary to preserve a lesson or prevent irreversible harm. That is to quiet deflection of catastrophic interference. And then there's this thing called the exit clause, which means that every mission has a designed endpoint. Staying beyond consent, even with good intentions, becomes paternalism. All right, because these protocols do limit theater, they are encounters with true custodians. I'm sorry, let me just rephrase that. These protocols limit theater. Encounters with true custodians are often understated. That's the proper word, right? So the loudest presence in the room is rarely the wisest. All right, so this is how the rebellion is answered without becoming it. Guardians do not defeat coercion by copying its tactics. They answer it in three lawful ways. The first one is quarantine by resonance, which is what happened to the Earth when the negative Anunnaki took over. Immediately, the councils of light quarantined and isolated the Earth from the rest of the galactic community. And by the way, that quarantine is now lifted as the Earth is being prepared to become part of the galactic community due to the awakening and the ascension. So, quarantine by resonance, which means fields are erected that deny matching frequency access, coercive tech short circuits incoherent, heart centered environments, disclosure through consequences, which means hidden contracts are surfaced, actors are confronted with the mirrors of their own making until repentance or isolation becomes inevitable. And then there's also this thing called empowerment of the edge, which means rather than saving populations, the guardians equip threshold communities, healers, teachers, artists, and ethical technologists to make coercion culturally non-viable. Okay. And the aim is not victory over an enemy, but restoration of choice, free will. So even those ensnared by the rebellion can step out without annihilating their sense of self. And of course, you can always know the tree by its fruits when evaluating any purported contact, teaching, or movement, right? You could always tell or know the tree by its roots. And does it increase your agency? Do you become more compatible, responsible, and calm, or more dependent and reactive? Think about it. Is it consent explicit or revocable? Can you cop out without punishment or shaming? Is transparency proportional? Are claims testable in your own life or forever deferred to secret authorities? And what does it worship? Well, the one light in all, right? Or the charisma of a few. And how does it treat the vulnerable? Well, as it treasures to be as treasures to be protected or as resources to be managed. Okay. So living within the oath. Okay. The most forceful repudiation, no, repudiation, the most forceful repudiation of the rebellion is not a crusade, it is embodiment. 5 daily alignments place you under the guardian's banner, and that is consecrate your free will. Begin the day with I align my will with the one infinite creator and respect the sovereignty of all living beings. Secondly, practice coherence, breath work, or prayer, which stabilizes the heart field. Coherence is the frequency gate that coercion cannot cross. Third of all, make consent a habit. Ask before advising, obtain permission before touching, and welcome no without retaliation. Right? If somebody says no, honor it. And then, of course, cultures begin at home. There is a saying that says that the family is the fundamental unit of a society. Okay, so it all starts at home. And then, of course, tell the truth always, because deception is coercion, right? Be clear, right? Break the spell of untruth and serve where you stand, which means service is the universal handshake, right? It invites lawful assistance. So, in conclusion, my friends, honor is the highest form, the highest way of honoring God and living according to the one. Honor, okay? The cosmos is full of power, all right? For those that have seen my presentations, there are many advanced aliens that have all this power, but to what? If they're not serving the one infinite creator, it only corrupts and destroys. Case in point, Omega Metatron, right? The AI overlord. Well, only some of it is wise, of course, in terms of the cosmos. Spiritually advised humans from other worlds demonstrate honor, not propulsion or weaponry, right? They honor the one God by honoring the spark of the one in every creature, refusing to force growth and trusting the lawful mercy of time. The Luciferian rebellion will continue to test our nerve with shortcuts, spectacles, and bargains that seem to spare us the hard work of becoming. And our answer need not be dramatic, it must be steady. So, um, always choose consent over control, truth over theater. This is a message from the One Infinite Creator for those that are wondering why I'm rambling about this stuff today. It's important, guys. Service over status, okay? And communion over request. And this is why I offer my courses for only $100, where other people offer it for $1,500, $2,000. I don't care about the money. I just want to help people, okay? And with empowering them with knowledge. And in doing so, guys, we step into the same oath that guides our elder kindred, right? Our oldest brothers and sisters from the stars. And we become at least the kind of world that they could eventually meet openly as equals in the light. And the reason I needed to share this with you guys today, all right, is because we are being prepared for first contact. Third Eye Atlas, Third Eye Atlas is not going to be coming to the Earth. It is going to be passing by the Earth. And when it gets really close to the Earth, I believe at the end of October, it is here to activate the first waivers. Okay, for those that are ready, make sure you watch this presentation over and over and over again, guys. You guys need to understand where we stand in the grand scheme of things. And now I've been talking for over an hour. Um, again, for those that are just jumping on, make sure you watch this presentation from the beginning because there was a lot of new intel that was shared regarding the summit meeting that took place between Trump and Putin yesterday. There is a rogue AI, codenamed Sibil, that has been in control of the world's weapon systems and has been and it's the reason why a lot of the wars are continuously repeating themselves. I have water. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm good. What else? Let's see. Oh, yes. As a reminder, guys, I do have a mailing address. It is 1771 West State Route 89A, Suite B, Box 3015 in Sedona, Arizona, and the zip code is 86336. And I always forget to put it in the comments, so I will be putting that in the comments today. Oh, yes. I did announce it, but I'll remind them again. I'm going to be presenting a new talk at the Alien event in September 12th to the 14th in Vegas at the Sonosta Hotel. So if you guys sign up, make sure you guys put my name so that I could get credit. All right. So that is called the Alien event coming up next month. I will be presenting. Yeah, you go to the alienevent.com to purchase your ticket, not to mention other, people are going to be there like Carrie Cassidy, Captain Randy Kramer from the SSP, Laura Eisenhower, Brad Olson, and a lot of great speakers that are all in the disclosure movement. So you're going to be able to see all these panels and meet a lot of great people. Anyways, I will give some shout outs now. So I see Greg is in the house. Jill Hunt is in the house. Lori Cooney is in the house. Lee and Love. William Ryan. Wolf Mother is in the house. I Am Love is in the house. Hello, Sylvia Vidal. Starcadian is in the house. Sarah is in the house. Cosmic Zeal is in the house. Shauna and all 2,358 people that are in the house. Again, guys, the link for the Folium product is always in the description, but I will also pin it in the comments. And now it's time for Q&A. Finally, today was a long presentation, but I had to share this with you guys. I had to share all this with you guys to prepare for the ascension. All right, so I'm going to use my phone to take the Q&A since I cannot see the chat on the screen. All right, there I am. All right, if you guys could type your questions in capital letters, that would be greatly appreciated. Ishmael, do you have knowledge about the Marcus Gold? Nope, Marcos Gold, never heard of it. What will be the future religion? There will be none. Organized religion, as we know it, is collapsing and will no longer be here because every single person is going to have a direct connection to God, the one infinite creator. We will need no more mediators, no more bishops, no more pastors, no more priests, no more archbishops, no more cardinals, none of that. Okay.
SC asked, how do you activate your dormant strands of DNA?
Very good question. Well, for those that are taking my Ascension 2.0 course, I teach you how to activate the dormant strands of DNA. Again, if you have not taken my course, lucky for you, I repeat them every month for only $100. And this is information that other people offer for almost $2,000. Let's see. Who will reveal? Who will reveal no religion? Well, as people become awakened, fully aware of who they are as multidimensional beings, and as people become directly connected to God, they will no longer be needing a religion. So that's how the religions are going to collapse. In the positive ascending timeline, in the millennium, people are going to have a direct connection to God. Therefore, there won't be need, or there won't be any more need for organized religion. Thank you so much for the super chat, Anna. She says, call me and my husband both take, no, can me. Oh boy. All right. Can me and my husband both take your class together, or do we have to take the class separately? You guys could take the class together. Just make sure that you guys each pay $100. Okay. Because again, guys, I am barely making a living. I don't charge for my channel. I don't have subscriptions. All I have is my courses, and that's it. And that's how I'm able to eat. And of course, do what I do, write, prepare presentations, and so on and so forth. So if you guys could, both pay for the course, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I have another super chat from Jackie Baby. She says, question: the 300 businessmen Putin brought with him to Alaska for the summit were really part of the Galactic Alliance. Is that correct? Yes. Some of those men were not human. They were part of the Galactic Alliance. I don't know where you heard about this, Jackie Baby, but that is correct. That is correct. And this actually was confirmed by Commander Valiant Thor. So, yes, there were not only human alliance members at the summit meeting yesterday, but there were also galactic members, as they are all working together to defeat the rogue AI that is now in control of our world's weapons. Thank you, Jennifer Carter, for your Zelle. Appreciate that. For those that are wondering, if you want to contribute to my cause, I do take donations through Project Restoration Zion at gmail.com. And that is my Zelle. That goes directly to my account. And then for those that don't have Zelle, I will pin my mailing address in the comments after the live. Thank you, Starcadian, for posting the Folium link. And if you could actually, what I'll do is Project Restoration. Thank you, Starcadian, for posting Project Restoration Zion. No, at gmail.com. It's not a dot, it's at gmail.com, of course. That is my Zelle. And also, of course, the super chats do help, even though this platform takes 30%. It still helps. I do have another super chat from Vicky Gray. Will the solar flash not activate our DNA? No, it will activate our DNA. Absolutely. It will activate our DNA. Absolutely. Absolutely. Did the whales and dolphins ascend? When it appeared, they were dying in 3D. Yes, this is a question from Teresa Howie. I was informed by the Galactics that the whales and dolphins, who were actually our stewards, caretakers of our planet after the fall of Atlantis, are now ready to go back home to Sirius. So our cetacean family are leaving their 3D mammalian sea body avatars. And that means that a lot of us are getting ready to activate so that we could become the new stewards of the new Earth. Okay, so yeah, they are leaving by choice. All right, it's not because of polluted waters, it is by choice. Indigo Type 3, what superpowers will they have? This is a question from Indigo Star Zeno. That's a cool name, Zeno. Well, let me just first break down what the 3 categories of indigo. Indigo Type 1 is an angelic soul in human body. Indigo type 2 is you could say, an advanced archangelic or Elohim soul in human body. And an indigo type 3 is both. It is a archangelic or Elohim soul in human body, and they're also sharing their body, I'm sorry to say this, but with a fallen angel. So they have both fallen Anunnaki in them and positive Anunnaki in them. So an indigo type 3 are mainly people who have Asperger's, which is high functioning autism, and their task is to overcome the fallen angel in them, the fallen seraphim in them, so that they could reach their full capacity. So in so doing, an indigo type 3 will have access to unlimited power, okay, beyond the indigo type 1 and the indigo type 2. But also bear in mind that the indigo type 3 is also being, you could say throughout their life, they're also being kind of pulled by the dark side, so that the fallen angel in them, because remember, they share their body, right? The fallen angel in them could actually take over the angelic Oraphim angel in them and do the will of Lucifer. But if you overcome the fallen angel in you, for those that are indigo type 3, right, then your exaltation and your ascension will be greater, okay?
Ishmael, how does the AI problem affect the implementation of the RV, Nisera, and Gesera?
Well, that's one of the reasons why Trump and Putin met yesterday, was because the only thing holding back the EBS and the new GCR, Gesera and Nisera programs is this rogue AI, okay? Again, the original humans were taken out years ago. There is no more Killary. There is no more Billy Joe Bob, her husband. There is no more a bomber, right? These are all inorganic, soulless robots. They have human skin, okay? So that's what we're dealing with right now. And according to the meeting that took place yesterday, this plan will be initiated, and it's already being initiated from what I understand, to do a kill switch. Maybe I shouldn't be saying it here. But again, the positive Earth timeline has been secure, guys. We don't have to worry about anything. I have a super chat from Greg. Thank you so much, Greg. He says, Ishmael, how do the stars become little suns in the sky? Well, you have to understand that some of these stars are light years away. So they're huge, okay? To be quite frank with you guys, our sun is rather a small star in comparison to some of these stars that make our sun look like a little dot. Okay. So you have to understand that these stars are light years away. So they look like little white dots in the sky. But that's the reason why they look like little white dots in the sky. But they're really, really huge. Okay. They're really, really huge. Oh, and also another thing I wanted to confirm is that the space arcs that are we could say they're living bio ecosystems, are not there for us. All right. They're not there because there's going to be some sort of cataclysm where we're going to be transported over to the bioarcs. No, no, no. They're there because the galactics are monitoring the ascension of the Earth. Okay. And also, there's a lot of interplanetary meetings that are taking place. And from what I heard is that the biospheres are going to be there so that when we become part of a galactic community, we could also use them. So it's not to evacuate the Earth because of Earth changes, okay? And no, they weren't taken over by Nordics, for those that are listening to Michael Sala. That intel is not correct, okay? According to Valiant Thor, the sky arcs are there for our benefit. So when we become part of a galactic community, we could actually use the space arcs for interplanetary experiences. Yes, the wrong email. For those that want to Zell me, it's Project Restoration Zion at gmail.com. Thank you. Starcadian, thank you so much for correcting that. Thank you, brother. And then, of course, if you don't have Zelle, I do have a mailing address, and I'll post that and pin it in the comments after the live. Christina Nardasi has a question. Ishmael, who is the Galactic Federation? Who is in this group? Well, again, the Galactic Federation, before it was infiltrated and compromised by AI through Enki, is a coalition of many advanced Type 1 and Type 2 or Level 2 interstellar civilizations that formed an alliance to protect the well-being and the peace of the Milky Way galaxy and other galaxies. But in the last few years, it was infiltrated by AI through Enki, by the way. And so now the good guys are no longer known as the Galactic Federation. They're known as the Galactic Alliance. Okay. So again, it comprised of different types of civilizations from Type 1 all the way to Type 2 interstellar. And they all have a place within the galactic vehicle now, Galactic Alliance. It used to be called the Galactic Federation.
If we can get some support to pray for the Category 5 Hurricane Aaron tonight towards Puerto Rico.
Oh, yeah. Great. There is a Category Type 5 hurricane that is actually heading out to that is about to cross Puerto Rico. So if you guys want to end this with a small prayer, we may. We could do that. No, I cannot use Rumble, guys. Rumble is not allowing me to broadcast. And I believe, okay, I'm going to let you guys in on a little something, all right? Rumble was bought out by BlackRock, okay? And the reason they're allowing free speech on Rumble is because they're monitoring everyone on Rumble right now. Ishmael, what areas have younger Earth souls and are advanced older souls in North America? This is a question from Ron Seyfried. They're spread out geographically worldwide, okay? There isn't just one continent or one region where we could say there are more older souls than younger souls here or younger souls than older souls. No, they're all spread. You know, the young souls are actually the majority. They're about 95% of the human population. So yeah, the young souls are all around us, okay? Thank you so much, Carol Valpone, for the Zelle, as well as Sylvia Vidal, Suzanne K. Thank you. Yes, we could also pray for the fires in Greece.
They're everywhere right now. The fires are.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys know, but the fires are all over the world. 1/3 of Africa is burning. Okay. They're in South America, they're in Europe, they're in the Asia region, Middle East. They are in Russia. I mean, they're worldwide. The fires are everywhere, guys. Yes, I do believe that the first solar flash is going to nuke the rogue AI. So, and it's going to help things progress into the new world. What's that?
That's the eye of the storm.
Oh, the eye of the storm. Yeah, it's a category 4, wind at 150 miles per hour. This is the hurricane that is heading towards Puerto Rico. So, yeah, we're going to end this with a prayer in a little bit. I'm just going to take a few more questions because of my long presentation. Let's see. All right. Amanda is saying that please be aware that Queensland, Australia had a 5.6 magnitude earthquake or underground explosion. Ooh, okay. I wasn't aware of that. Okay, one more question and then we'll do the prayer. One more question. Yes, some of us are going to be gaining our superpowers within the first flash. That is absolutely correct. Oh, I also wanted to thank everyone who's been mailing me gift cards. I do get the gift cards. Thank you. Thank you. You guys are awesome. I appreciate all of you. This means so much to me. This is amazing. Thank you guys so much. Now, some people don't like me to, give them a shout out. They like to stay on non-public. So I just wanted to thank you guys. You know who you are. You know who you are. So I just wanted to thank you guys very, very much for that. All right. So let's get to that prayer. Go ahead if you want to do the prayer.
Dear Mother and Father God, we are sending our thoughts and our love to all of those in the path of Hurricane Erin and in the path of the fires. We pray that with our loving thoughts that we can send towards the waves, towards the wind, towards the fire, and with generally sensing that Mother Earth is very disturbed. We ask that Mother Nature be calm now to calm down the waves. Please imagine the hurricane calming down, that the category 5 can be reduced and that it can be directed away from any people so as to not cause any harm. And at this time, we pray for peace for all the world. Thank you.
And so it is. And so it is. One final super chat from Hope is Real. She says, Ishmael, is there purple ET people? Yeah. I feel my galactic family is not just one type. I feel I am a mixture of many expert experiences with different ET families. Yeah, that is correct. In fact, a lot of us are what is known as soul hybrids, which means we have more than just one galactic lineage in us. We have multiple galactic lineages in us. Not to mention, we are the culmination of an intergalactic experiment that ends with us. And let's see, anything else? Thank you so much, Mika J, for that Zell. I appreciate that. And thank you so much, Suzanne K. I think I've already thanked her. All right, cool. With that in mind, may the God force be with you all. I will leave the mailing address in the chat. I mean, in the comments. Sorry. All right. Apparently, it's time for me to get some rest now, guys. My brain is shutting down. May the God force be with you guys all. I will see you guys in 2 nights for an Alliance update.